What is going on, my friends? Hank here, and today we're going to start crewing up this U-boat. For this tutorial, we're going to be using this lovely 1/35th scale figure from Border Model. We've got them all prepped up here, temporarily mounted on two drywall screws to act as our painting jigs, and we'll begin, as always, with a coat of black primer to give us a nice base to work up from. We'll start with our head today. To save us a little trouble with our brush painting down the road, let's spray our face with a base of flat flesh. Next, we'll spray in the base color for his crush cap with some of this USN Sea Blue. Don't worry about overspray, we'll clean this all up in the next step. If you are painting up the captain of the U-boat, you'll want to do this step in insignia white rather than blue. We'll address that difference in a minute here. Moving over to our brushes, we can tidy up our skin with some of that same flat flesh, being careful this time not to overpaint onto his cap. Using a nice, small, fine-pointed brush, let's carefully dot in two little spots for his eyes using the eye color of your choice. Afterwards, it can be helpful to come back with some of our flat flesh and clean up those eyes a bit. Now, we're painting up a U-boat vet here, so of course we cannot keep him looking so clean-shaven. Using some of this dark chocolate, let's start to draw in a nice, thick beard here. These U-boat men were living inside these cramped steel tubes with limited access to fresh drinking water for weeks and weeks on end, and accordingly, the grooming standards were laxed quite a bit. The U-boat beard really started as a side effect of the job, but quickly became a well-earned symbol of the brave submariner. While we have our beard color loaded up, we'll be sure to paint in his hair as well. And to darken his beard up just a little bit more, let's add a touch of flat black in there as well. While we have that flat black loaded up, let's also paint in the band around the middle of his crush cap, leaving the visor and the top of the cap in our USN blue. Switching back to our skin for a second, let's apply a thin coat of light rust wash to add a little color and warmth to his flesh. This will also help accentuate the details of his mouth, his eyes, and his nose. A second pass with a clean brush and a bit of tap water will help remove any excess redness from the flat portions of his face and neck. Sliding back up to our cap once again, let's start to detail in the gold elements of the wreaths and eagle. Now, this particular figure we're working on is wearing the blue crush cap of a junior officer aboard the U-boat. These would have been worn by the watch officers and chiefs aboard the vessel, usually with the ranks of Oberleutnant or Lieutenant. The captain of the vessel would wear an identical cap, except for the top would be white rather than blue. U-boat commanders oftentimes were Kapitänleutnants, though some more successful and experienced officers, of course, rose higher through the ranks. Once our work with the gold is complete, we can just carefully dot in a little bit of red in the center of the wreath there to finish the job. Okay, with the work on our head completed for the time being, let's move down to our body. We're going to start by spraying in the jacket with some IJN Ash Gray, believe it or not, and then we'll start to block in his pants with some light Gull Gray. Our figure here is wearing a variation of the U-boat uniform featuring the P-37 British denim battle dress and leather all-weather over trousers. Yes, you did hear that correctly, British denim battle dress. The story goes that after the fall of France in 1940, the British Expeditionary Force left behind a boatload of first pattern 1937 denim uniforms that somehow made their way into the hands of the Kriegsmarine. The U-boat men appreciated the comfortable, strong, hard-wearing uniforms, as they lent themselves very well to the tough, cramped conditions of the submarine, and eventually they became more or less standard issue among the men of the U-boat flotillas. Due to the inherently piecemeal nature of these uniforms coming from captured stock, you will see quite a bit of variation in the appearance of these uniforms on U-boat crewmen. I painted my captain's uniform in green gray, so we're going with this IJN Ash Gray for our other officer to provide a little variation when they're up there together on the tower. The overtrousers here are part of the two-piece all-weather patrol uniform distributed to all members of the crew for both on-deck and internal operations. Another interesting element you see in archival photos of U-boat crewmen is a lot of casual civilian clothing. Once out at sea, the uniform regulations also grew quite lax, as the most important thing was that these guys could carry out their duties to the best of their ability in some level of comfort about the boat. You see a lot of gingham or flannel button-ups and turtleneck sweaters, whatever worked for these guys, really. So for our officer here, let's paint in his undershirt with some of this IJN medium brown for a nice subtle pop of color. This figure's battle dress jacket is worn tucked in with a separate belt, so we'll paint that belt in with some red leather. At this stage, let's brush in his binoculars with some flat black. Please excuse my big dumb head here. And then we'll start to work on the shoulder boards. We'll base these in with some of our same USN blue that we used for his cap. And then we'll paint the inside of the boards with some insignia white. While that dries, we can move down to his boots and block those in with some red leather as well. Using some of our gold from earlier, let's go back to the boards and dot in one button and one pip to denote this officer as an Oberleutnant. And for a few final touches, let's dot in the details of our belt buckle and all of our buttons with some flat black. We'll also paint in the strap of his binoculars with some red leather. At this phase, we're ready to move on to some weathering. Let's spray the whole figure with a coat of gloss varnish to prep for our wash. We're going to do a simple little pin wash today using some enamel dark wash and a bit of odorless thinner to help coax the product into all the details of our sculpt and help remove any excess from the raised flat portions of our figure. Now would also be a lovely time to attach our head to his body. Once our wash work is complete and is dried fully, all that's left to do is spray our figure with a coat of matte varnish to knock down that excess shininess and seal in all of our work. And with that, we can assign our officer to his post aboard the tower of our U-boat. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I hope you got a little something out of that tutorial. I've got 3 more enlisted men that I'd like to get up here on watch duty as well, so we'll move on to those next. As mentioned in our last video, I'm going to do a Q&A on how I built up this 1/35th scale diorama, so if you have any questions about the techniques used in this big old project, fire away down in the comments below, and I will answer them in the coming video. So, thanks again all, and until next time, be well, happy building, cheers.